Okay, Assalamualaikum semua. Hari ini kita akan ada presentation. So hari ini 4 grup, media risau tak sempat. Tapi kita cubalah sebaik mungkin untuk present juga untuk habiskan 4 grup. So kita akan mulakan dengan scopes of political science. Adakah dah cukup dia punya ahli? Dah cukup ke?
Belum, madam.
Belum ada, tak apalah. Madam buka dulu. So, okay, kejap. Okay, tak apa. Dah cukup beritahu madam Ataupun kita start dulu pun tak apa kot. Okay, kita mulakan presentation untuk grup 1 dengan tajuk Scopes of Political Science. Madam harap kawan tu cepat-cepat masuk lah. Okay.
An example of political science definition is political science is a discipline of social science that investigates the state, politics and government. Political science includes the study of politics as well as the analysis of political process, theoretical and practical application of politics. And the study of political behavior.
Madam.
Ya.
Madam,
is the study of the state. Many political science regard
tak dengar.
and ask explainary the relationship between political
Madam,
event and
kena tutup
situation
mic.
in order to
Jadi
further
double suara.
a set of general principles that explain how politics operate. Political science is multidisciplinary field that encompass, among other things, sociology, economy, history, anthropology, and public policy. Political scientists are in high demand this day because of the changing face of political around the world, and because society want to understand how the political world works. They need someone to explain the complex of the political economy according to a casual scan of newspaper and television channel. Political scientists are at the forefront of debates, and it is a term that relates to analysis the political understanding of several countries in order to establish approach comprising this political field of study that hotly disputed and studied all around the world. The two most prevalent approach to comparative politics are a cross-national approach and an area study method. The first way is simulation research and large number of countries to have a better knowledge of their theories and implementation. Comparative government is a political sub-discipline that systematic study, analysis, and compare the nature of government in select countries. Whereas the first type of approach deals with deeply study of politics in a specific political area, nation, or region of the world. Whereas comparative government is a political sub-discipline that systematic study the government is the top administrative agency of a country or a nation. Throughout, comparative government studies various skills of government from around the world are examination, assigned, and contrast with assigned to explain different and discover any viable practice that country may learn from adapt. What the difference between comparative politics and comparative government? Number one, comparative government is a sub-discipline and comparative politics, which is a broadest word. Number two, a political comparative analysis that contrasts and compare distinct political theories and practices in various countries. Comparative government is the study, analysis, and comprehension of various government structures around the world. Number three, in addition, the government comparative politics include the study of political subjects such as government, forest.
In addition, the government comparative politics include the study of political subjects such as government, forest, policy, and others. Comparative democracy On the other hand, supply, compare, and contrast various forms of government around the world.
Number 4. Comparative politics is a broader term, and comparative government is one of its sub-disciplines. Number 5. A comparative study of politics that compare and contrast various political theories and practices in different countries, or the study, analysis, and comparison of various government systems around the world is referred to as comparative government. Comparative politics include the study of political issues such as government, foreign policy, and others. In addition to government, comparative government, on the hand, solely compare different types of government bodies around the world. Despite this distinction, the terms comparative politics and comparative government are sometimes used interchangeably.
Government, bukan government.
That provides course in this discipline is better at comparative politics and government. When they are researched, they are rarely.
International relation. International relation can also refer to a branch of political science that studies this interaction. Academic topics range from history to studies, and there are a numerous areas of interest for academic. On some level, the concept of international relations is likely quite old, considering that humans have been building government and speaking with one another of 4,000 of years. International relation is study of the variable and process that govern interaction between state and non-state actors inside national boundaries. The study of conflict and development, as well as testing of theories regarding international relation, is referred to as international relation. International relation refer to the collective interaction of the international community, which include individual, nation and state, nation and state, intergovernmental organization like United Nations, non-governmental organization like Doctors Without Borders, and multilateral cooperation. The importance of international relations is to keep war at bay, to terrible conflict revenge, claiming life and destroying property. If a third war occurs, it's fair that the human race will be wiped out. International relations allow us to investigate government goals in global affairs, the means they take to achieve this goal, and the element that ultimately determine their success or fail. International understanding help us analyze and aid all states in living courageously and confidently in diverse and peaceful world. Secondly, one must understand
Determine.
weakness. One of the key reasons of the First World War was internationalism, because the state considered the entire situation in terms of its own national interests while ignoring the large international interests. Thirdly, national security is no longer relevant. International relations in the 21st century are becoming increasingly complex. Today, each country is dependent on the others for one or more good. We cannot see any state living in isolation in this linked globe. To educate people for the sake of the human state's survival.
I would like to explain about the political theory. Political theory is the general field of research in the politics field. The definition of political relationship in terms of basic underpinnings involves of thinking about how the government, individuals or groups relate to one another. Political science focus on the analysis of politics, whereas politics theory examines the essential concept that government, society, and the government. Political theory seeks to explain and challenge political relationships as they thought to be. To understand the theory, we must first determine what we mean by the government. Generally, the use of force in a specific geographic area is known as government. Power or coercive power is the government's main characteristic. It deals with the described politics, the government system of implementing ideology, system of managed competition to extreme that is no longer a free market structure. As example, a political theory such as democracy theory, autocracy, also by the idea of the politician. I would like to explain about the public administration. Public administration is under the scope of political science that also relate with the political theory. It is closely linked field that deals with the scientific studies. In the political science, it is more to analyze the distribution of resources and the values in a political system. When it comes notions like the power, authority, legitimacy, social class, and also the gender, it is also important to study of the ideas or the ideologies that deal with the topics like justice, liberty, morality, and equality. As we can say that political theory is more like experiments, such as making the theory about the government, such as democracy theory, monarchy theory. And while the public administration are more focused to the administration procedure, like involved in making the policies, making the decision, as well as those in the state or the government. While now we strive to maintain the personal and the professional discipline, public administration more to create or improving the discipline. Mostly that public administration related to the public employees, such as the doctor at the government hospital, the teachers that can also call as public servants, that teachers in school is also the one way how the government serve the people. So as we can see now, public administration like public servants such a doctor can be the models of the government to ruling the government. In other forms, public administration also can solving the problem in the public, such as the public servant making a campaign such as stop smoking. It can influence the public people to stop smoking, and the government also can stop the problem. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, I am Wan Nurhadra Balkis, 21 Muhammad Hafizul, presenter number 4. I want to close the presentation with the conclusion. As conclusion, because it is the most crucial part, political science is very vital in our daily life. For example, cover aspect of international relations, as we all know, because we need to go have good relation with other countries, because we need to have interests such as selling our domestic produce to other countries, such as supplying rubber, cooking oil, and petroleum, which will bring profits to our country. Furthermore, political science plays a vital role in public administration. Our country cannot function without the public administration because it is a body that conducts public administration. Teachers, doctors, and clerks all fall under the umbrella of public administration, which is one of the most essential bodies since it covers a wide range of tasks connected to dealing with the public and the country. Furthermore, there is comparative politics and governance in political science, and it is critical to compare how countries are governed. Each country has its own governing structure. Malaysia, for example, has a parliamentary democracy under a constitutional monarchy, whilst Brunei has a monarchical administration.
Habis dah? Okey, 4. Hello, dengar tak suara madam?
Dengar, Madam.
Aliana Sofia tu buat apa tu? Dengan baju macam tu, gaya tu. Okey, madam nak apa? Okey, madam buka kepada members of the floor 4 soalan supaya pelajar ataupun kawan-kawan boleh dapat markah lah. Untuk 4 soalan ni, orang kata kawan-kawan kena tanya. Alright, berkenaan dengan presentation mereka lah, iaitu scopes of political science. Okay, so boleh madam dapatkan soalan?
I want to ask.
Ask apa?
I want to ask about question number 4. Why do comparative politics and comparative government need to be differentiated? Are not they all the same because of comparative?
Why comparative governments and what? Tak jelas.
Comparative politics.
Kenapa kena bezakan? Tak sama ke? Okay, so sudah jawab?
Me.
Okay.
Comparative government is a sub-discipline within comparative politics that examines the point and compare various political theories and practice from different country or national state. Cooperative government study is analysis and compare various type of government worldwide.
Jelas ke soalan ni? Madam macam tak apa jelas sangat tu. Apa beza comparative politics and comparative government tu, Aliana?
Cakap bahasa Melayu ke? Yes,
Itulah yang
madam.
kata madam tak faham. Cuba kamu cakap bahasa Melayu.
Sekejap. Pemerintahan pembandingan adalah subdisiplin dalam politik komparatif yang mengkaji dan membandingkan pelbagai teori dan amalan politik dari pelbagai negara atau bangsa. Perbandingan pemerintah pula adalah mengkaji, menganalisis dan membandingkan pelbagai jenis pemerintahan di seluruh negara.
Okay. Okay ke soalan ni?
Yes, madam. Thank you, Aliana Sofia.
Alright. Okay, next questions for other presenter.
Me. Do you agree our country do international relations? Can you give the example?
Maksudnya soalan dia, adakah awak setuju yang negara kita ada hubungan antarabangsa? Macam tu ke? Lepas tu give example. Terangkanlah sikit pasal international relation. Walaupun soalan tu macam pelik sikit, tapi tak apalah. Okay, siapa yang nak jawab pasal international relation?
Me, madam.
Okay, jawab.
Okay, yes, our country do the international relation, and for the example, for now, our country do the international with China because China is the
what, Fatin?
the pengeluar for the vaccine of Sinovac.
The manufacturer or producer. Okay, tu je lah antara yang ni. Alright, okay. So the third question for this group.
Saya, madam.
Okay, siapa tu?
Aiman.
Mana Aiman? Aiman. Okay, Aiman. So ask the question to the third presenter.
Okay. Soalan dia, what are the main differences between political theory and political philosophy?
Okay, what are the main differences between political theory and political philosophy? Sama je. Refresh balik, cari soalan lain.
Sekejap.
Madam, can I explain about the political theory dengan political physiology? How to pronounce?
Nak sebut pun terkeriak-keriak nak menjawab soalan. Ini mesti soalan ni dah berancang Tak payah, Madam tak suka soalan rancang-rancang. Biar Madam tanya soalan pula.
Alright, madam.
Ni semua dah merancang soalan. Okay, based on your presentation, you have presented about the scopes of political science. Okay, among these four political science, the scopes, which one is taking care in domestically ataupun orang kata taking care the internal affairs of the country? Can you answer the questions?
Yes, madam.
Okay, Elisha, jawab soalan.
You mean like the government having the international relationship with
No. Soalan madam. Okay, dalam banyak-banyak scopes of political science, yang mana antara keempat-empat tu dia berkenaan dengan dalam negara, hal ehwal dalam negara? Answer in English lah.
Public administration, madam.
Okay, why you say so?
Because of the government already set the what do we call the embassy officer.
Kenapa embassy pula? Embassy tu international relation. Ni dalaman.
Oh, dalaman.
Public admin.
Madam. Saya dengar international relation.
Macam kat public admin.
Oh, okay. Public administration. Dia ada public employees such as doctor, the teachers that cover all the problem that happen in the country. If the police they take care of the security of the society that can prevent the criminal case.
Alright, okay lah, good answer. Okay, and the last question for Fatin Akilah tak jawab lagi kan? Ke jawab dah?
Dah jawab, madam.
Dah jawab, madam.
Okay, the last question is for Hadirah Balkis. Where is Hadirah Balkis? Mana Hadirah? Oh, ada sini. Okay. Okay, so as for the question is, Aliana, kamu pakai topi ke tu? Kenapa pakai topi masa presentation? Kalau kamu pergi interview, kamu pakai topi ke? Kamu tolak markah pakaian. Mana nama kamu? Aliana Sofia. Physical. Tadi madam tengok dalam video okey dah 10. Madam bagi 8 ke 7. Mana ada orang pakai topi masa presentation? Dalam video dah okey, kat luar pun kenalah pakai okey juga. Okey, pakai tudung, pakai elok-elok. Pakai macam presenter. Okey, Hadirah Balkis. My question is, okay, can you give two political science, two scopes, two theories that you know in relation to political science?
Apa madam suka
Okay, in political, there are many political theories. Okay, the theories that shape how the government rule the country. Banyak sangat teori-teori yang ada. Okay, teori-teori sains politik. So, can you give me two theories yang berkaitan dengan political science? Teori-teori politik yang kamu tahu.
Political theory.
Dia ambil nasi mambu dia semua. Wasted. Ya, nanti.
Ada kalau kamu baca dekat chapter 1, memang ada.
Political theory, demokrasi, monarki, autokrasi tu.
Tapi adalah dia nama dia theory of what, ada tak?
Theory of philosophy, history, geografi.
Cuba cari political science theory. Teori tentang sains politik. Apa dia? Contohnya komunisme, demokrasi, macam tu lah. Kena terang-terangkan sikit lah pasal teori politik tu. Okey lah, tak apalah. Alright, so comment item. Siapa presenter pertama tadi yang laju macam kereta api tu? Kenapa laju sangat bercakap nak tanya, kenapa tu edit ke? Edit ke apa?
Saya cakap sebab kerja masa, madam.
Sebab satu lagi video sampai 15 minit. Madam dah pesan kan video bawah 10 minit. Satu, cakap laju macam kereta api. Lepas tu bila edit ada suara cipmang. So takkanlah kita masa presenter kalau dia sekarang ni common ada video presenter macam interview kerja pun sekarang. So takkanlah kamu tak edit, kamu dengar tak apalah video cipmang, suara cipmang pun nampak sangat tak profesional. Baju dah okey semua tapi bila cakap laju macam tu and then baca je rasa macam ya Allah. Dia rasalah ada lah presenter yang ketiga yang macam bercakap. Yang macam betul-betul cakap. Yang lain macam basically membaca lah. Suara janganlah terlalu kuat sangat dan janganlah terlalu slow sangat. Okey, lepas tu satu lagi slide lah madam nak tegur. Slide kenapa tak ada point-point? Kenapa letak perenggan macam tu je? Sangat susah untuk kita baca sebab bila present ni kita tak boleh nak letak orang kata terlalu banyak sangat ayat. Orang tak ada nak catch up. Faham tak? So patutnya kamu tulis ayat yang sikit-sikit point je and then Maknanya orang kata ataupun jangan letak macam okay boleh nak letak tapi point kan ke, buat visualize sikit ke, maknanya diagram ke. Ini macam karangan macam tu. Jadi susah mata audiens ni nak menangkap isinya. Okay. Tapi but basically baguslah bila tengok ada effort bila ada background macam ni. Pemakaian Aliana kita tak pakai macam tu pakai topi dalam kelas. Mana boleh macam tu. Meda ingatkan avatar tadi. Meda ingatkan macam mungkinlah budak rupanya betul kamu pakai topi. Tak, try pakai properly. Especially you are the presenter. Dalam video okay dah. Baju semua orang sangat professional. But Meda expect, okay yang lain tak apalah tutup kamera nak pakai tak pakai baju pun. Tapi paling tidak presenter kena jagalah. Tapi basically tak apalah. Madam akan bagi markah juga. Memang bagi markah pun. Ada bagusnya tapi ada beberapa perkara yang madam kena tegur lah. Especially in terms of pronunciation. Government. Determine. Okay. How, tak adalah kita nak cakap fluent English sangat tu. Yelah English is not our mother tongue. Tapi at least pronunciation tu kena betul lah. Alright. Okay, so madam juga tak suka kalau soalan-soalan yang dirancang. Contoh-contoh jawab soalan yang entah apa-apa, sorry to say lah. What is the difference between political theory and political tu yang kedua, soalan tu macam apa soalan ni tapi jawapan tu ada. Nampak sangatlah berancang lah soalannya. Madam tak suka soalan macam tu. Kalau kamu buat macam tu, madam yang akan tanya soalan, siaplah kamu. Biarlah soalan tu genuine, okay, original. Selepas kamu tengok presentation, kamu pun tanya pada kawan. Alright? Okay, kita pergi kepada next presenter. Okay, yang presenter yang nombor group pertama boleh off camera, on kan camera group yang lain, group kedua.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Alright. Okay, so group yang kedua ni adalah how does government obtain power?
Madam, yang seorang lagi line tak okey.
So dia tak masuk pakai sudah ke macam mana?
Tak tahulah, dia try juga tadi.
Tak apalah nanti. Nanti kalau ada apa-apa soalan, bagi soalan kat dia guna WhatsApp, nanti dia balas ikut WhatsApp. Okay? Kita tak nak dia kehilangan markah ni lah, markah Q&A.
Hi, so today we are going to present to you on topic how does government obtain power. So this is our team members.
What is the definition of power? The definition of power according to R.H. Downey is the capacity of an individual to modify the conduct of other individual or groups in the manner in which the power holder desires. Besides, according to Plato, power is one ability to convince other people until he can influence them to whatever he needs. Power also can be defined as capability of doing or accomplishing something. Furthermore, power is one of the main concepts of political studies. All problem political activities or processes revolve around the problem of power. The concept of power varies in the meaning, and it depends on the particular situation in the time the term is used. The power also can be defined as a kind of ability or a natural characteristic of government. It is also used as a kind of problem-solving ability, something in which a human being can bring about the nature of loyalty among individuals. Power also often active, contra-pattern, and even mobilized for user loyalty. If it's used effectively, the behavior of others can be used. In addition, power is often used as an ability to force others who need something to succeed in a plan according to the instinct of the person being opposed. It can also be used as an ability that stems from a special rights and level for user of the habit and behavior of society directly or indirectly. Overall, the meaning of power is the ability to express something and force for something out of fear of power.
There are 5 types or bases or sources of powers that we all have to know. So allow me begin with the reward power, which is wealth. So what is the reward power? The reward power is the most impactful, effective source of power and influence. This is because those who control wealth can give some to others. Therefore, many people tie to them so intimately in order to have that wealth. Besides, power is based on followers' trust. The follower believes the leader has the resources that can bring benefits to them that will help the followers in reaching their goals and meet their needs. It can be anything, honestly. Property, money, bonus. So, for example, the employer gives bonus to the employees in order to reaching his goals and needs. So, another example is political patronage. When a businessman from Kota Kinabalu went down to Sandakan just because they want to do a campaign for Tan Sri Musa Aman willingly. Tan Sri Musa Aman did not ask them to do it, but they do it willingly just because they know if they help campaigning for Tan Sri Musa Aman and he wins, they know that they will get something out of it, such as a tender. Thus, it proves that a leader can influence followers' behavior if they have money or things that can satisfy the people in order to get people tied to them. So that is the reward power.
Force or strength is one of the easiest sources to identify because it is easy to see in an individual. With strength, it can make someone successful in doing what they want. For example, in politics, a leader needs to have the power of strength to punish his people who do not comply with all the laws that have been enacted. This popular support means state administrators are well-known individuals who have many followers under them as a result of what they have contributed to the country. For example, in the previous 14th general election, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad won the election because he was very popular among the people after he made a big change to the country during his reign in 1981 until 2003.
Expertise is an essential element for an individual in leading. Individuals with expertise indirectly empower and are able to influence using their skills and knowledge for good. Not only has a personality that is able to influence, but a person is also able to be ready to be reprimanded or criticized by others. The individuals who are skilled in their field are able to handle their tasks well and effectively. This is because they have expertise in managing and controlling their duties as someone who is valued and trusted by others. And also, having expertise can give satisfaction to followers, and this situation will result in excellent work performance. The follower will be loyal to this expert because the leader has a clear vision and has the ability to think in various approaches to find alternatives, able to clarify or define a real abstract in managing and operating the field in which they specialize.
In an organization, power is playing a very important role to a leader. This is because to plan and implement regulations where it also requires accountability within the leader. There are some effective power consumption that need to be available to the leader. In this context, it is emphasized that position is the rank held by a person. The higher one's rank, the more power one can hold. When a person has a position, then he can get what he wants through his subordinates. This is because he has power and the person or subordinate employee must abide by it. Among these powers include the legitimate power. So what is the legitimate power? In the aspect of the position, the legitimate power is power where a leader has a formal position in an organization. This power is also sometimes dependent on the relationship between subordinate and a leader. For example, a boss needs to carry out his duties by giving directions to his subordinates, and the employee must comply with the instruction. This is because a boss has the right of obligation or legally that can use its influence. Furthermore, the legitimate power is also the official powers obtained by a person from the superior authority through the power of the position that give a person positions in the organization. A person receives such power because they are able to do so and are able to safeguard the organization's handling. This legal authority can be proved by reference to documents such as rules, policies, charter, and plain contracts. As an example that can be taken in our country is the power of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong (YDPA) and the Raja-Raja Melayu, appointed by the YDPA rotation system among the Sultan and the Raja-Raja Melayu. YDPA authority as head of the ruling government, assisted by the Raja-Raja Melayu, the Prime Minister and Cabinet. The YDPA also has the power in making any decisions regarding the administration of the country on the advice of the Sultan with the concept of the constitutional monarchy. In conclusion, power is very important in governing a country. There are bases of power that we can practice in our government. Without this marking power, our country will not be as peaceful as it is now. The concept of a constitutional monarchy used in our country proves that Malaysia is an absolute power. Through the concept of separation of powers, the interests of the people are guaranteed because the power of governing the country is chosen by the people. Thus, there is a sovereign and harmonious nation today. Therefore, we as a Malaysian society must abide by the country's constitution in order to show that we abide by the country's law.
Kenapa dah habis? Dah habis ke? Linda, dah habis ke ni? Assalamualaikum, dah habis ke ni?
Dah habis, Madam.
Kenapa habis begitu saja? Ya Allah, pelik-pelik lah korang ni. Okay, so how to obtain power lah. So, Madam buka dulu pada members of the floor untuk tanya soalan pada kawan-kawan. Jangan tanya soalan ngagut. Okay.
I have a question.
Apa
Why?
Ashik?
Yes, Madam Ashiki. Why legitimate power is very important?
Okay, why legitimate power is very important? Okay, good question. Okay, can you answer the question, the presenter? Siapa nak jawab? Okay, presenter. Mana presenter?
Ni, Madam.
Alright.
Legitimacy is important for all regimes.
Dia kata legitimate power. Okay.
Okay, legitimate power sustain political stability as it establishes the reasonable of regimes or says provide reason for regime to exist. It is because election contributes to provide justification for the existence of a regime, thus consolidates its legitimate power.
Okay, macam berskrip je tu. Alright, okay, so pentinglah ya kuasa yang sah ni, sebab kuasa yang sah ni akan menentukan survival of the kuasa tu. Maknanya kalau tak sah, dia tak akan bertahan lama. Alright, second question. Okay, thank you Hashasha. Alright, siapa?
Nurin Husna.
Okay, Nurin, boleh tanya soalan?
Okay. So what makes a person or an individual expert in their own field?
What makes an
individual or person expert in their own field?
Okay, apa yang menyebabkan seseorang itu cekap ataupun pakar dalam bidangnya? Macam tu
Madam.
Okay, cepat. Okay, answer the question.
Ini, Madam.
Adriana nak jawab?
Ya.
Okay, Adriana okey dah lain? Okay, cepat jawab cepat. Sementara lain ni.
It takes the dedication, discipline and focus
Becoming an expert requires a sincere, uh, genuine desire to do the work. If you are not passionate about something, you won't become an expert at it.
Okay, tak dengar sangat lah.
Sorry, madam. Line saya slow.
Macam mana tadi jawapan kamu?
It takes dedication, discipline, and focus. Becoming an expert requires a sincere, genuine desire to do the work. If you are not passionate about something, you won't become an expert at it.
Okey lah, betul lah kan. Dedikasi, rajin, hard work. Barulah dapat jadi expert ni. Kalau kita pun belajar malas, macam mana nak expert? Okay, thank you Adriana. Alright, alright. So the next question.
I have a question.
Alright.
My question, if the citizens disobey the law, what types of force power that will be used by the government as a punishment?
If siapa tadi?
If the citizen.
Jika rakyat tidak patuh kepada undang-undang, apakah? What
types of force power that will be used by the government as a punishment?
Okey, apakah yang akan dibuat oleh kerajaan lah untuk apa? Untuk menghukum rakyat yang tak dengar cakap ni lah. Okey, siapa nak jawab?
Saya, Mi.
Okey, Fatihah? Okey, Fatihah.
Kalau jawab dalam bahasa Melayu boleh ke, madam?
Tolak markah, dapat 5 ya.
Okey lah, tak apalah, I try my best, okay?
Alright.
Okay. What is the question again?
If the citizen or people disobey the order of the government, what kind of punishment yang kerajaan buat lah untuk orang yang degil ni? Cepat.
Okay. There is 2 types of force, the coercive power.
Alright.
Which is light punishment or punishment.
Okay.
So, if they do the if they do a little mistake, so they will get the light punishment. Okay. So if they wait, madam. Okay, so if they kill people or do the robbery or something that maybe armed punishment, that was a big punishment, like that.
Alright. Okay, thank you Fatihah. And the last question.
You're welcome.
Alright, and then the last question for siapa Sekejap. Semua dah ada soalan dah? For Roslinda. Mana Roslinda?
Saya, madam.
Mana?
Saya.
Yang pakai earphone tu ke?
Headphone, ya.
Okay Roslinda. Okay, please ask Roslinda. Questions? Mana? Muhammad Akram. Mana penerima anugerah Dekan malam tadi? Faris. Tanya soalan cepat. Akmal Ashraf, Akmal Akram. Cepat. Mana soalannya? Okay, so do you think, biarlah Madam tanya, so do you think that power is important? Do you think power is important? Why?
Okay, I agree. Power is very important. It is because to control people, mostly to society. They don't. If they don't control, the society will make mistake, and the country will be harmful because of the mistake that make of the society. So that's why power is very important. Yeah.
Alright, okay, so very good answer. Okay, komen Panda sukalah group ni sebab bagus. Dia macam ni, presenter pertama dengan presenter kedua menunjukkan skill presentation yang bagus. Betul yang ketiga, yang keempat dia start dah macam cakap je. Okay, so Meda suka macam gaya bahasa. So bila bercakap kita nak dengar. Kalau yang baca kita rasa macam boring lah, buka lah tab-tab lain ke. So that is very important. Itu madam. Okay, kalau orang lain, interviewer semua, kalau tengok cakap pun macam baca skrip je. And then in terms of English pun, pronunciation, group ni bagus. Okay, alright. Baguslah dia punya presentation. And then basically group tadi pun dengan group ni sama-sama letak nombor, letak nama tu jadi menyenangkan. So okay lah. Okay, well done. Okay, next group.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you,
madam.
Sekejap, kita tengok kan. Grup ketiga, mana grup ketiga? Grup ketiga akan membawakan... Sekejap. Alah, ni dah... Dua je, sekejap. 2B. Okay, Elements of State, Grup Farah Amanina, Ashikin, Aina Najihah dan Aiman. Okay, sekejap. Okay. Sekejap. Ya Allah pula madam pula. Elements of State. Share. Alright.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Aiman bin Muhammad.
Madam.
Madam mute. Ni Kak Aiman yang cakap madam cantik masa kat UED 102 tu. Mana Aiman?
Ya.
Oh, kamu Aiman ni. Itulah madam mencari-cari lah. Ada mana pelajar ni, I mean beautiful madam. Baguslah. Okay. Okay, so semua dah ada ke? Aiman sini. Semua dah ada dah
Ada dah madam, cukup dah.
Alright. Okay.
Ali from class D1AM 1102B.
Hello, my name is Nurena Najihah binti Cik Johar and my matric number is 2020847904.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nurul Ashkin binti Abdul Aziz and my student ID is 2020829492.
Hi, my name is Nufara Manina binti Sanidi. My matric number is 2020490548.
Introduction of State. State is defined as a polity governed by a system of government that has a monopoly on the use of force. There is no universally agreed upon definition of a state. A state is a polity that maintains a monopoly on the legitimate use of violence, according to a widely used definition by German sociologist Max Weber, though other definitions are not uncommon. Not only that, state also defined as a country or region that is seen as a unified political community with a single government. The state has 4 elements, which are population, territory, government, and sovereignty.
The population is an important component in the formation of state. Populations known as the total number of people living in a nation, city or region. Populations data allow the government to estimate the number of people and plan their relevant action. For example, if the government know a city population, they may predict how many resources it will require. The people create the stage. There will be no stage without them. So a large population is required to establish and maintain a state. The population estimates in Malaysia are based on the 2010 Census of Population and Housing, which is for birth, death and migration component. The population estimate for the mid-year period are based on the bottom-up approach, which is estimate the population by state, single age, ethnic group and sexuality. Malaysia's current population was estimated at 32.75 million in the first quarter of 2021. It increased 1.27% from 2020. The population of Malaysia in 2020 was 32.36 million, a 1.3% increase from 2019. Malaysia's population is expected to reach 42.7 million people in the year of 2068. Upcoming to 2069, the population will progressively decline.
Territory is one of the elements of state. So what is territory? A federal territory is an area that is directly ruled by one of the federation's central government. Territories are areas within a federation that is not affiliated with the United Nations. The federal state is the part of the federation that shares sovereignty with the federal government, whereas its territories are not. The province, unlike a federal district, usually has some of self-government, though the terms are used differently in federations. Malaysia is a federation with 13 states and 3 federal territories. Malaysia's states are divided into districts. However, in Sabah and Sarawak, these districts are grouped into larger administrative units known as divisions. Malaysia's federal territories include 3 territories, which are Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya and Labuan, that are directly governed by the Malaysian federal government. Malaysia's national capital is Kuala Lumpur, the administrative capital is Putrajaya, and Labuan is an offshore international financial center. Malaysia is a Southeast Asian country located north of the equator, consisting of 2 separate areas, which is Peninsula Malaysia, also known as West Malaysia, which is located in Malay Peninsula, and East Malaysia, which is located on the island of Borneo.
The third element of state is government. What is government? Government is a group of people with the authority to govern a country or a state. According to the political philosophy John Locke, government exists to protect 3 things: life, liberty, and estate, since it is a human right that cannot be separated from the human beings. The government was set up to enforce the law to control the behavior of the people. The people unable to live peacefully unless they are appropriately organized and accept specific rules of conduct. In the context of Malaysian government, we adopt the principle separation of power, which consists of 3 main branches: legislative, executive and judiciary, with the Yang di-Pertuan Agong having the supreme authority. The first branch is legislative. In Malaysia, we have parliament, which function is to approve or amend law, explain government policy, approve budget and new tax proposal. Parliament is divided into 2, which is Dewan Rakyat, with a total of 222 members, which are chosen through an election held every 5 years. We also have Dewan Negara, consists of 2 members from each of the 13 states selected by the state government, while Yang di Pertuan Agong is responsible for selecting another 44 members. Secondly is the executive body. The executive body is the highest body in formulating the government policy. The power of the executive is held by the Prime Minister and assisted by 27 cabinet ministers who have their own portfolio. Lastly is the judiciary. The judiciary function is to hear and determine the civil and criminal matter and determine the validity of law made by the legislative and executive body. Judiciary is divided into two, Superior Court and the Subordinate Court. The Superior Court is divided into Federal Court, the Court of Appeal and High Court, while the Subordinate Court is divided into Magistrate Court, Sharia Court and Session Court.
Sovereignty. The sovereignty is defined as the ability to make laws. The sovereignty is the most exclusive element of the state. Sovereignty belongs solely to the state. No state can exist without sovereignty. There are many ways to safeguard the Malaysia's sovereignty. First and foremost, it can be saved with Malaysia's military strength. This is to ensure that all of the soldiers are going to be ready with obstacles that we get from the colonizer. Malaysia has a total army of 429,000, a total of 26 fighter jets, and 448 tanks. Secondly, the power legitimacy. The power legitimacy comes from the formal position or office you have in the organization chains of authority, such as election. An election is a way people can choose their candidate or their preferences in a representative democracy or other form of government. For example, in Malaysia, the community is required to hold an election to determine which political trenches are suitable to govern the country at that time. The Perikatan Nasional Party is the political party that governs the country of Malaysia today. Last but not least, political stability. The political stability is an important variable in a country's evolution because it has been found as a cause of low-level economic growth as well as a consequence of poor economic development through time. This can be seen when the government implement the Goods and Service Tax, as known as GST, on 1st April 2015 until 1st September 2018. However, this decision made was not agreed by the community at first, but was finally agreed upon after the community was able to see the result of the development by using the tax.
In conclusion, it is clear that there is 4 elements that create a state. If any of these elements does not exist, the country will be considered as a failed state. The people are the ones who determine the direction of a country. Besides, a state cannot exist without its proper territory. Other than that, the people also need a formal body to fulfill their need, and this thing can only be done by the government. Additionally, sovereignty is also significant to ensure that our country is always in a state of peace and harmony. Therefore, not only the government, but the people as well must cooperate to maintain the harmony of our country. We must maintain a good relations with each other so we can preserve the independence that we have achieved since 1957.
Okay, thank you, group elements of state. So, okay, is there any questions?
Nidam nak tanya.
Okay, Izzah.
Among those 4 elements, you think which one is the most important?
Sama macam soalan madam. Okay. Okay, can you answer the questions?
Okay, I will try to answer, madam. Okay, personally, I think that all 4 is important, but I personally think that the most important one is sovereignty, because we know that sovereignty is referring to the right of a country to govern on their own without any internal or external threat, right? A country or state, they can exist with population, territory, and a government, but they cannot be called as a legal state unless they have sovereignty. For example, we can take an example like Palestine. Palestine until now is not a state It's not a state, and they're still trying to get their independence because they still been colonized by the Israel, right? So until now, they cannot be considered as a state because they don't have the sovereignty to govern on their own without any involvement for the foreign invasion. So yeah, I think the most important one is sovereignty.
Okay, very good answer. Okay, boleh ke Iza?
Okay, boleh Madam.
Alright, so Ashkin kata kedaulatan lah elements yang paling penting. Alright, second question.
Sorry, madam.
Yang mana tu? Kita bagi pada Muhammad Ad dulu. Apa ni? Tak nampak.
Adib, madam.
Adib, sorry. Okay, Adib. Okay, tanya Adib.
How can we maintain the balance in population?
How can we maintain the balance of population? Macam mana kita nak balancekan populasi? Balance dari segi apa tu Adib?
Rakyat.
Yelah rakyat, tapi dari segi apa? Maknanya jantina ke, apa ke? Kaum ke?
Dari segi rakyat jantina bagi sama ke?
Jantina lagi sama. Macam mana nak bagi semua macam sama rata?
Dan keseluruhannya.
Dan keseluruhannya. Okay, how to balance the society, the population. Okay, ada yang nak jawab soalan ni?
Me, Madam.
Siapa? Aina?
Aina.
Okay, Aina.
We can maintain the balance in population by having enough people in a state.
Enough people maksudnya?
Kita ada rakyat yang mencukupi lah untuk memastikan populasi itu tak.
How much is cukup? How many is cukup?
Maksud Madam?
Maksud Madam, yelah kamu cakap cukup. Cukup tu berapa cukupnya? Tak cukup-cukup lagi ke? Macam tu maksud Madam. Maknanya cukup. Dia nak, macam mana? Apa maksud kamu dengan cukup?
Cukup dengan, dengan kita punya ekonomi negara lah.
Okay, itulah jawapan kamu. Brief sangat. Okay, tak apalah. Alright, the third question, Akram. Akram, tanya Akram.
Can you give me another example about political stability in Malaysia?
Can you give example of political stability in Malaysia? Siapa nak jawab? Aiman nak jawab ke? Ke seorang lagi? Siapa? Aiman ataupun Farah? Boleh jawab. Siapa nak jawab? Apa tadi soalan dari Akram?
Can you give me another example about political stability in Malaysia?
Saya jawab.
Okay,
Tapi
Aiman.
international.
Aiman? Tak dengar.
Madam, boleh ulang soalan tak? Sebab tak dengar.
Dia kata berikan satu contoh yang menggambarkan kestabilan politik di Malaysia. Betul tak Akram?
Hello?
Boleh tak Aiman, can you give example of political stability in Malaysia? Boleh tak kamu bagi contoh situasi yang menggambarkan bahawa politik di Malaysia ni stabil? Okay, Aiman.
Tak dengar.
Tak boleh type lah.
Madam tak dengar. Tak dengar, madam.
Tak cakap pun. Boleh type. Can you give example to portray that Malaysia's political situation is stable? Madam dah rephrase sikit lah soalan tu. Tapi basically tak dengar tu. Madam bagi dah soalan ataupun soalan Madam letak kat chat dah.
Okay. First of all, let me say something like apa tu? Sekejap. Political stability. It is refer from the how the people agree or disagree with the government. So if the people doesn't agree with the decision, so there is no political stability. So another example is MCO, because when the apa ni aku cakap, when the first MCO fasa pertama, people is not agree with the government at first, but after because they don't know the rationale for doing that. So after the government implement the MCO, they see the difference of the case at first. But then after the MCO, the second phase, there are still have a lot of case, just like the first one. So people is still not agree with the apa tu MCO punya implementation.
So, kamu rasa rakyat negara kita, is there any political stability in Malaysia? Adakah politik di Malaysia stabil kalau tengok kepada
Yes.
Yes, alright. Sebab rakyat patuh. Macam tu maksud kamu? Alright. Okay, so last question for Farah.
Madam,
Okay, Fatin nak tanya.
I don't understand much about territory. Can I get the other example?
Okay, can Farah explain more on territory so that Fatin, Akila and all clearer lah about that topic.
Can wait first. Okay. Federal territory is an area that is directly ruled by one of the federation central government. Means territories is an area. For another example of territory other than the 13 states and 3 federal territories, the river is also included in territory.
Okay.
For your information, Pahang is the longest river and runs around 434 kilometers. And also, other than that, Sarawak's longest river, called Rajang River, is around 350 miles in length and is navigable with shallow drafting ships for approximately 150 miles or 240 kilometers. Its counterpart in Sabah, the Kinabatangan, is only navigable approximately 20 miles or 119 kilometers from its mouth. The rivers provide a means of transportation between the coast and the interior, and the majority of the population has historically been situated along the rivers. Long rainfall typically leads to floods, especially in locations where unregulated mining or farming activity has affected the river's natural cycles. So that's another example of territories.
Okay, faham tak? Farah dah terangkan dengan panjang lebar tu teritori siapa, bukan sekadar tanah, bukan sekadar sungai, tapi segala benda yang ada.
Sorry. Territory include with geographical like that.
Maknanya teritori ni macam ni lah tasik tak tasik, air, sungai apa semua, itu semua adalah teritori. Okay, janganlah kita anggap darat je. Alright, so Meda rasa Meda suka dengan grup ni punya terpukau dengan dia punya slide kot. Okay, macam Nurul Ashikin, okay, Nurul Ashikin kena up sikit lagi, maybe suara tu terlalu lembut kot. Dia kena tegas macam suara Linda tadi. Nanti akan dapat perfect score lah. Okay, yang lain-lain overall okay. Macam siapa tadi? Aiman tu dia kena pronunciation tu kena baiki, macam kena firm, bukan firm, kena pasti sikit dengan pronunciation tu. Alright, so basically Meda suka group ni juga. Okay, very good. Okay, kita rehat sekejap 5 minit boleh sebelum ke group yang keempat.
Boleh, madam.
Alright.
Boleh, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you,
Alright.
madam.
Jumpa 5 minit
Thank you, madam.
Berorganisme. Berorganisme. Batu. Bola. Batu. Tembak. Okey, masa untuk tak berehat dah. Adam tak ada masa. Puji kawan. Hai.
Saya tembak awak.
Tembak.
Assalamualaikum semua. Ada ke tu?
Ada, madam.
Ada, madam.
Ada.
Sekejap lah ya, anak madam mengamuk. Okey, sekejap. Aku random nak cari dua group tadi. Okey, so grup yang terakhir untuk hari ini sudah bersedia ke belum? Boleh on camera. So kita akan mulakan sekejap. Purposes of the state. Okey, masih lagi dalam tajuk state. Okey. Okey, kejap. So madam akan pancarkan. Allahu Akbar. Sekejap Okey, Artini, Nurin Husna, Izzah Alia. Seorang lagi siapa?
Andina, madam.
Mana? Alright, jom kita saksikan.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Greetings to Madam Farza binti Johari and my fellow classmates. Today we are going to present about the purpose of the state. Before we start our presentation, let me introduce myself and my group members. The first presenter is Nurin Husna. The second presenter is Nur Izzah Alia. And next presenter is me, myself, Nur Artini, and also one more Medina as the last presenter. In this video, we will present about the purpose of the state. Let's begin with the introduction of this title.
So in this introduction, I already included the definition of the state, the element of the state, and the five purposes of the state. An assembly of people who occupy a certain territory under the control of an organized group is called a state. An organized group is referred to the government. There is no outside authority other than the government that rules the state itself. There are groups of people living on and exercising authority over a specific area. It is divided into the rulers and the ruled, which are the government and the citizens. A state can also be described as a human community that has successfully claimed the exclusive right to employ physical violence in a certain territory. There are four elements that make a state. There will be no state if there is no population in that state. Population refers to the people, which is very essential for the state. Secondly, it is the fixed territory that includes the ocean, airspace, and the ground of a certain area. Okay? An organized group that will rule the state, which is the government. The policies and law for people to follow is formulated by the government, and they are also responsible to enforce the obedience of their citizens. For instance, the ruling government that our country right now is the Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. Lastly, the sovereignty or supreme power without restraint by law. It is the legally supreme power over any individual or group such as by DPA. The state has its own purposes, the reason why it is being created in the first place. There are five purposes of the state, which are to legislate law, to provide a sense of togetherness, to fulfill the people's need, to provide social conduct, and to become an agent of modernization.
The state was formed in response to the demands of the people, and the aim of the state is to fulfill the needs of the people. This is because the state's ability to meet people's needs is critical. Education, shelter, job opportunities, and food restriction are examples of basic human needs. People in the state are classified as either extremely poor, middle income, rich, or extremely rich. Effective governments of the breeds leader in a state
Bukan
will ensure
poor.
that the state's limited resources are distributed equally among the people in the state who have different needs. With the charity from the governments and the purpose of the state is to fulfill the needs of the people, is able to cover the cost of their everyday requirement. They are increasing every day. The government support can at the very least serve to alleviate the load of their everyday existence. In 2021, no more BSH payment will be given. Instead, it will be replaced by the BPR, Bantuan Prihatin Rakyat. Almost 8.1 million Malaysians will receive this charity with an allocation of 6.5 billion compared to BSH, which only need an allocation of RM 4.5 billion. The increase in allocation as well as the improved eligibility condition will enable more people to get this charity. The rate of assistance is not too much, but at least it can help ease the burden of the head of family who has many dependents, and also can improve the other people's life in a better and good path.
In line with current advance, all technology have advanced in accordance with the passage of time. So, the government of our country has planned to develop the state as a developed country in all areas. For example, the improvement of facilities such as the provision of basic infrastructure facilities for people living in rural areas such as road infrastructure facilities, housing, electricity, and clean water supply are important for the health and social cultural development of the people and become part of key economic well-being. In this regard, the government will continue to focus on rural development, especially to reduce the development gap between urban and rural areas. In terms of technology, as a result of our country being hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, the government has launched the National Technology and Innovation Sandbox, or NTIS, to develop national technology and commercialize local technology traders and entrepreneurs. NTIS is a way to accelerate economic growth opportunities through the use of disruptive technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotic, drone technology, sensor technology, and 5G infrastructure in a mission to solve national problems including depends on power and reliable as well as internet access, inequality, and digital infrastructure gap. The government has allocated Rm 100 billion to the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation to encourage the expansion of technology, innovation and creativity in service in commercialization of local innovations, including the use of innovations such as farmer robots, farmers and can prevent farmers from being exposed to hazardous environments when they perform chemical or organic pesticide spraying activities for crops. The use of farmer can increase productivity effectively because the spraying process can be done faster and the use of spray material can be reduced compared to conventional methods, thus increasing labor savings.
This decade, whether we realize it or not, because it is to serve with the development of a country that is becoming more prominent on the world stage, the government and its members coming out with ideas and strategies in order to preserve the life of the people in our country to enjoy a peaceful and harmonious country, no discrimination or racism. The question is, what they do to provide the sense of togetherness? Malaysia is made up of various races and the system provides opportunity in the adherence of certain religions and races. Barisan Nasional BN Association consists of three races, UMNO, MCA, and also MIC. In the sector, it can create a spirit of political unity because it encourages tolerant interaction among members, for example, through meetings, consultation, and so on. The effect of economic imbalance has created gap between races in urban and rural areas. Then, the new economic policy NEP began to be create national unity and reduce the problem. After the NEP was introduced, job opportunities become wider. There is no content of problem between urban and rural ethnic group anymore. In terms of social, it is carried out through the involvement of social activities. Rukun Negara be applied to the people regardless of races and religion. A national program was also created for youth in the country, namely the National Service Training Program (PLKN). The goal is also the same, which is to create unity where to train the youth on patriotism and apply noble values.
Another function of the state is to offer a framework for social behavior. The term social behavior refers to how society should act in order to preserve a harmonious connection among them. This is because to the state's diverse heritage, ethnicity, color, and religious belief. So that this is the most challenging part to keep society harmony among them. Malaysia also has a rich cultural life, much of which revolves around the traditional festivities of its diverse population. For example, Hari Raya Puasa or Aidilfitri marks the completion of the fasting month of Ramadan, while Hari Raya Haji or Aidil Adha marks the completion of the season of pilgrimage to Mecca. Indian Malaysians celebrate Deepavali, a Hindu festival of lights that lasts many days, whereas Christmas is the main Christian holiday. It is common to throw an open house on most of these festivals, where guests are treated to Malaysian cuisine and hospitality, so that we are able to establish and keep harmony in this multiracial country through this open house because we respect one another's festival and even enjoy them together by visiting the open house.
The next purpose of the state is to make laws. In our life, there must be rules because rules are made to regulate and discipline human beings. If there are no rules, surely our life will be chaotic, uncontrollable, and there is no peace in life. Laws are held for the benefit of society. In general, all things in Malaysia have their own rules and laws. In a country, only the government has the power to make law, change, repeal, or replace law. In a democratic country, the organ that performs this function is the legislature, which is the parliament that has the legal power to make law. If this rule is violated, the person who violates the rule can be punished or fined by the court. the main function of behavior of society, and also its citizens socialize with each other. Without law, the effect can be seen in many countries in the world. When law and justice are not the main facts, then there will be chaos that can damage the harmony of society. A tense situation that threatens unity is also not impossible to happen in Malaysia if we are complacent and do not support the fourth principle of the Rukun Negara, which uphold the rule of law. The purpose of law enforcement is not the media to punish, but to ensure that the harmony of things can happen perfectly for the good of all communities as well as leaders. For example, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit our country, too much false information was distributed online to confuse everyone because we don't know which one are right and which one are manipulated. Whereas country does have rules on this. For example, the Defamation Act 1957 Act 218C is specially designed to control all information or writing that has defamatory elements. So people who spread false news will definitely be punished. The thing that the law as a whole tries to realize is tranquility and physical well-being. In conclusion, the law is very important in a country. In other words, law are made to ensure there is no chaos, keeping our state safe.
The conclusion, the establishment of a state is to retain some type of authority through its many bodies, which is done through moral and civic control. Democracy is being expanded further to aid civic education and upkeep of public order and peace. The government's duty in politics is to intervene in public authorities such as the state political and legal structure. The state's function is to provide a favorable legislative and policy setting that allows the state's various arms to explore and realize their full potential while maintaining a high standards of operation to preserve their public interest. The economic and physical environment in which the state forms will influence the necessities of the activities done because these arms are attached to essential government structures. All these five purposes of the state must function very well in order to avoid a failed state. What is a failed state? A failed state is a condition of a state collapse in which the state has lost control of its territory and borders and is unable to conduct primary security and development function. A failed state is one that not being able to duplicate the conditions that allow it to exist in the first place.
Habis dah ke? Habis dah macam tu je. Kenapa korang punya video macam apa orang kata? Duk macam habis tiba-tiba macam tu. Tak apalah, mungkinlah editing problem kot. So video ni agak lama jugalah, 13 minit. Okay, tak apa, kita buka dulu kepada apa soalan daripada kawan-kawan lah tentang purposes of state. Tak boleh kan?
Madam, saya ada soalan.
Okay, Ashikin, boleh tanya soalan?
One of the presenter mentioned about Defamation Act 1957, which is to stop the spread of false news. So I want to ask if there is any other act related to the matter of spreading false news other than Defamation Act.
Okay, saya daripada Akta Fitnah 1957, ada lagi tak undang-undang lain di Malaysia yang menghalang daripada berita palsu disebarkan? Okay, siapa nak jawab soalan ini?
Saya nak jawab.
Siapa tu? Artini? Alright, Artini boleh jawab.
Okay, thank you again for the question. As we know, in our country, there are many laws related with the spreading false news. Under the Defamation Act 19,
Artini, tak dengar.
57. There are okay. Sorry, lost connection. For example, the Communication and Multimedia Act, 1998, and the next act is Computer Crimes Act, 1947, and also Sedition Act, 1948, and the last is Penal Code, which are specially designed to control all information or writing that has defamatory elements. So what we post at social media, or we share to other in connection with fast news um, or false information, which is against with the state law, can be punished, and action can be taken, such as being sued or imprisoned. So I hope I have answered Ashikin's question.
Okay, very good Artini. Artini telah menjawab beberapa soalan, telah memberikan beberapa akar. So, okay, maybe komen Artini. Artini okay, suara ada tapi maybe baca je. So, boleh tak next time jangan membaca sangat in next presentation lah. Pastikan ada gaya tu sikit. Yelah, sampai kita tak boleh nak kontrol juga diri kita daripada membaca, tapi paling tidak pun jangan nampak sangat macam membaca Alright. Okay, next question.
Okay, I want to ask, what will happen if there is no legislation of law in the state?
Madam, saya jawab Madam?
Okay, apa soalan tadi?
What will happen if there is no legislation of law in the state?
Okay, apa akan terjadi jika tidak ada undang-undang dibuat dalam negara? Siapa nak jawab?
Nurin, Madam.
Okay, Nurin. Jawab.
Okay. So to answer that question, right, what will happen if there is no law in the country? So the country will be in chaos. Why? Because there is no law, there is no guideline for the people to follow. So when there is no guideline or there is no law for people to follow, meaning that the government itself is not doing its work, right? So the whole country is not running well because the government is not functioning very well. So for example, if a regular citizen shoot another citizen, there is no law to judge for the crime that he did, meaning that the justice is not there for everyone. So that's why legislation is very crucial in a state. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, macam mana? Terjawab ke soalan tu?
Yes, Madam.
Nurin telah bercakap tentang implikasinya jika undang-undang tak ada. Okey pula Nurin jawab soalan. Masa presentation pun, ya Allah, monotonousnya. Tahu tak monotonous? Terlalu membaca. Alright, okey tak apa. Okey, jangan baca sangat. Okey. Alright, okay, next question.
Me, Madam. I have question. My question is why special holiday for each state is important in order to provide framework for social conduct?
Apa holiday?
Special holiday.
Special holiday. Kenapa special holiday penting?
In order to provide framework for social conduct.
Kenapa kena ada cuti untuk ada guideline untuk tu? Siapa nak jawab soalan yang pelik ni? Ada jawapannya ke? Izzah nak jawab?
Saya Madam, saya cuba.
Okay.
Saya rasa, okay. Because special holiday is like in Sarawak, for example,
there is Hari Gawai. Yes, Hari Gawai Diet Festival. So with the special holiday that is given, it show that it prove that we respect them. We celebrate them together with them. For example, Hari Gawai di Sarawak lah. Yeah, I hope I answer your question, Nadira.
Lepas tu kenapa? Macam mana dia boleh relate dengan social conduct tu?
Because the role of state is to provide framework or guideline for social conduct ni, which is we need to respect them.
Tahulah Madam rasa soalan yang pelik dan menjadikan jawapan pun pelik. Boleh tak Madam bagi soalan lain untuk Izzah?
Boleh.
Okay, as we know, provide social conduct is something that the state provide macam satu guidance lah so that the people can follow. And then, so okay, can't you see any pattern of behaviour dalam negara kita ni yang menunjukkan okay kalau kita buat ni kita orang Malaysia. Boleh tak Izzah bagi contoh? Something common practices among Malaysians that show this is the culture ataupun orang kata unspoken ataupun unspoken habit lah, benda yang tak payah nak cerita tapi itu yang orang Malaysia buat. Ceritalah. Boleh tak Izzah ceritakan?
For example, I think non-Muslim they respect the azan. When the azan in the mosque, they respect and we as a Muslim, we also respect them with what they celebrate, such as Deepavali. We respect them.
Alright, okay Izzah. Okay, the last question for Medina.
Me, madam, I have question to Medina. What was the cause of the interracial during the British era?
Okay, Medina, dengar soalan dia Medina?
Yes.
Okay, apakah kesan berbagai kaum? Macam mana Alicia tadi? What is the
cause interracial during British era in Malaysia?
Bukan kesan. Apakah penyebab kepada pelbagai-bagainya kaum yang terjadi di dalam, kenapa negara kita jadi multicultural, multiracial? Betul ke?
Betul, macam tak stabil ketidakpuas hati apa.
Pula dah. Okay, kenapa terjadinya masalah perkauman dalam negara kita? Okay, Medina, go. Jawab.
Okay, so initially, the economic imbalance in the era of colonial rule in our country was due to the British encouraging the arrival of Chinese and Indian labor, and it caused the emergence of dissatisfaction among the people, where the Chinese community mostly migrate and Indian tribes control the estates. At the same time, the Malays only focus on agriculture. So obviously it can threaten unity because of this issue of poverty. So this situation causes an income gap between societies where the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So after the NEP was introduced, job opportunities became wider, so there is no content of problems between urban and rural ethnic group anymore. I hope I answered very well, Alicia.
Okay, thank you.
Mana madam?
Dia pergi teater raksasa tu.
Assalamualaikum. Hello.
Salam.
Madam pula kehilangan line. Tadi apa kamu jawab penyebab kepada ni? Aduh lah. Sorry. Medina jawab apa tadi Medina? Sorry.
I will repeat.
Boleh. Jangan repeat PAD120, repeat jawapan tu je.
Okay, madam. So initially, the economic imbalance in the era of colonial rule in our country was due to the British encouraging the arrival of Chinese and Indian labor, and it caused the emergence of dissatisfaction among the people.
Okay.
So where the Chinese community mostly mine gold and Indian tribes control the estates.
Alright.
At the same time, the Malays only focus on agriculture. Obviously, it can threaten unity because of this issue of poverty. This situation causes an income gap between societies where the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So after the NEP was introduced, job opportunities became wider, so there is no content of problem between urban and rural ethnic groups anymore. That's my answer, Madam.
Okay. Macam berskrip je tu. Alright, tapi tak apalah. Okay, so my comment is okay lah, group ni okay. Cuma madam nak kamu improve in terms of presentation. Not in my class lah, nanti next class pula. Alright. Okay, so basically kita berjaya menghabiskan 4 group hari ni. So minggu depan madam harap semua ni lah. So tak ada lagi yang dapat bawah 40 lah markah so far. Madam dah bagi markah siap-siap. So prepare untuk a very good report pula. Boleh hantar dah lepas ni. Okay, so in terms of content Manda rasa okay. Cuma kamu semua kena baiki in terms of format lah. Okay, buat betul-betul justify, letak nombor. Buat elok-elok macam yang Madam tegur dalam Madam brief sebelum kita start present ni. Okay semua?
Okay, Madam.
Minggu depan untuk grup yang lain pula. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Madam.